be looking at the UNISA Theory of Music Grade 2 past paper from February 2022. Question 1.1 asks us to give the letter names of the notes that they give us. So at this level we will still only be working with the treble clef as well as the bass clef, so do be sure that you know your way around these clefs and that you're very comfortable naming notes. Of course here they will ask some sharps, some flats, ledger lines, so be on the lookout for that. Now, if you are a treble clef player, make sure that you know your way around your own middle C and that you know your way around the middle C in the bass clef so that you can orientate yourself and work from there. The same thing if you're a bass clef player, orientate yourself around your middle C so that you will understand and know what's going on when it comes to middle C in the treble clef. As long as you know your middle C, I'm going to work here in black, as long as you understand that that middle C is the same as that middle C, then we're on a good path. Because if you do have a note that's ledger lines above middle C, if you orientate yourself with C in the bass clef, you can always count your way up, C, D, E, F, G, with a flat. Then we know that this note in bass clef is going to be a G flat. And if we orientate ourselves here to get around middle C in the treble clef, whether or not you actually read music and play in the treble clef, you will be able to name your note. So here we're going below middle C, so you count backwards, C, B, A, something on a G, and this is definitely G sharp, so we'll go ahead and pull that in. So do be sure that you orientate yourselves around middle C and then answer the following questions. Question 1.2 asks of us to improve the grouping of notes and rests in 3 short exercises. The first one is in 4/4 time, and definitely in 4/4 we need 4 crotchet beats. So I'm just going to outline 4 crotchet beats on top. You can do this in pencil and erase it afterwards. So this is like a little bit of rough work. So I do see that I have a crotchet over there. I'm just going to work how I work, whether it's back to front, front to back, doesn't really matter. Here's a crotchet, that together would be a crotchet, and there. So I have my 4 pairings. Now I just need to make sure that it looks fine. And more often than not, you have to change the way your rests look. But of course, there will be times where you have to change how your notes look as well. And I'm definitely seeing that. I'm going to have to change that here. First things first, I can't do anything with a dotted crotchet. I just have to leave it like that, putting in my time signature. And then there's no reason for there to be 2 semiquaver rests when it can just be 1 quaver rest. That takes care of 2 beats already. So beat 1, beat 2, done. Here again, no reason why there should be 2 semiquaver rests. It can just be a quaver, and then I have my quaver note. That takes care of beat 3. So it's just beat 4. Here we have a quaver tied to a semiquaver, and there's no reason to have that when we can just have a dotted quaver followed by our final semiquaver. And that definitely looks more like something that you would be used to, something that you would be used to playing in your music. So we have beat 1 and 2, beat 3, beat 4, and that's that. Our next exercise is in 9/8 time. So here we do need to go ahead and outline our 3 dotted crotchet beats, and I'm just going to do it above here. 3 dotted crotchet beats in 9/8. So of course here I see a dotted crotchet, so we have something that's sorted there. Here something is a bit obscure, and here something is a bit obscure, so I need to change that, and I need to make sure that my beats are dotted because it is compound time and we have dotted beats. So we're in 9/8, and I can't do anything about that dotted crotchet. That has to stay there, and there's no reason why that can't stay like that. We then will have a quaver rest, so I will just split that up, and that means I have a quaver. That means I will need another quaver rest, and my crotchet, that together can just become a dotted crotchet beat, and that is super normal in compound time. The way they've grouped it here for us almost looks as if it's in 3/4 or something like that. It doesn't look like it's in 9/8, so we have to make sure that it looks like a compound time signature. So we have our beat 1, dotted crotchet. We have our beat 2, and you can see it in dotted crotchet form, crotchet and quaver. And then we have our dotted crotchet rest for beat 3. Our final exercise in this question is in 6/8 time, and it's just a bar full of rests. So before you go ahead and count all the rests, if you notice that they're all rests, you know the rule. The suggestion here, and definitely the rule, is that a bar full of rests will just equal to a semi-brief rest, no matter what time signature we're working with at the moment. So we will go ahead there and put in a semi-brief rest. And there you have it for question 1.2. In question 1.3, they ask us to add 2 bars of rhythm, which will answer the given opening phrase. So here, all you need to do is be logical. This is a very short exercise, so we don't need you to go and be a super modern composer and write triplets and duplets and demi-semi-quavers. There's no time for that. In your own compositions, in your own time, you can do that. But right now, we're going to be very logical, very symmetrical, short and sweet, because we are given 2 bars. We merely need to add 2 bars. And there's a very quick, surefire way to get this right and to claim your 4 marks. So first things first, we see that we are in 3/4 time. Now, they give us 2 bars, yay. What we have to think about firstly is how to end this. Now, of course, an ending to any piece would be a nice long note. This is no different, even though we don't have pitches. You'll see they give us a clef, but it doesn't really matter because we're not thinking about pitches or clefs or anything here. They give us a space note in the treble clef. Yes, it's C, but technically we're not worried about notes here. They're just monotone. So we just have to worry about rhythm. So as we know, to end a piece off with a long note value is quite nice. It feels finished. And in 3/4 time, the longest note value that we can possibly get is a dotted minim. So I will go ahead and put a dotted minim right at the end. 1 bar is sorted. All I need to do is add this bar. And what I will do is I can either outline my beats in 3/4 time. That's great. However, you'll notice that they don't just give crotchet beats or straight crotchet beats here. You can do that. You can outline crotchet, 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 or you can do quavers, quavers, quavers if you want to. But let's add some cohesion here. We already have something different than what they give us, and it's a long note value. So let's copy paste bar 1 over here. So I'm just going to put in my dotted crotchet. I'm going to add a quaver. I'm going to add my semi-quavers and quaver there. So I have 3 beats. There we go. And if I was to clap this or say this, perform this rhythm, this is how it would sound. Ta, te, ta, ka, ta, ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, te, ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, ta. And that's quite fine. All good and well. We've copy pasted bar 1 into bar 3. We've added our longest note value, and now we just need to phrase. So we phrase the section that they have given us, and we phrase the section that we have added, and you will get your 4 marks. Now, of course, there are other ways that you can fill this in. This is not the only correct way, but it is the most logical way, and it is quick and easy, and you will get your full marks every time. In question 1.4, we have our Solfa notation question. So UNISA will always give us Solfa notation, and we have to transcribe it into normal staff notation and write out musical notes on the stave. So the most important information they give us is Do is G, meaning we're in G major. So we have to act accordingly and add in our notes according to G major. We have to add in our key signature, of course, and G major has an F sharp. Then we have to go ahead and add in our time signature. Now the fact that we see space, colon, space, colon, space means that there are 3 spaces in which beats can fit, which means we have 3 beats in a bar, we have 3 crotchet beats, and that means we are in 3/4 time. We have to add those in, key and time signature. That's important before we even begin adding notes. Now we can outline our Solfa syllables according to our scale. Then we merely have to add in our notes according to what we see. So our first crotchet beat is La, and La in G major is E. So we're going to go ahead and write in a crotchet E. Then we have another crotchet beat on the next beat. That is so. So that is a D in G major. Then we have our last crotchet beat in the first bar. This is on Mi. And Mi is our third degree of the scale. And of course in G major, this would be a B. And my stem, in this case, can go up or down. But because the other stems in this bar are going down, I'm just going to have my stem go down. But if your stem goes up here, that's also completely correct. Then of course our next bar has a long note value. It has a do that is carried on, and we know that it is carried on because it is indicated by hyphens. Those hyphens do not mean rests, they mean the note carries on. And it shows that it carries on for the full 3 beats of the bar. So we have our do, which is G, for a full dotted minim value. And there you go. So it's only 2 bars and 4 notes that you have to add in, as well as your key and time signature, and for that you will get 10 marks. In question 2.1, we are given notes above which we have to write the correct interval that is outlined in the question. So in grade 2, we're working with perfect intervals, major intervals, and minor intervals. Remember that your perfect intervals lie on your unison notes, your fourth notes, your fifth notes, and your octave notes. Then your major intervals and your minor intervals will fall on the other interval notes in the scale, such as your seconds, your thirds, your sixths, and your sevenths. And remember, in order to answer this question, we have to be very sure about our key signatures. Key signatures and keys are the foundation of music theory. So in order to answer any question in our theory paper, we have to know our key signatures off by heart. At grade 2 level, we have to know and understand keys up to and including 3 sharps and 3 flats in both major and minor keys. So let's go! I outline our perfect intervals by having capital P's, our major intervals by capital M's, and minor intervals by small lowercase letter m's. So in order to answer this question, we have to look at the note that they give us, and we have to assume that we are in the major key thereof. Meaning if I see a B flat in the bass clef, I am in B flat major. If I see an A treble clef, I am in A major. If I see E flat, I'm in E flat major. If I see a D, I'm in D major. If I see an F, I'm in F major. And that is how I'm going to know how to answer the question according to that key. So the first example they give us here is in B flat major, and they ask us to write a perfect fourth above B flat. So we have to think, okay, in B flat major, how many sharps and or flats do I have? So of course, if we know our keys, we know that B flat major has 2 flats, B flat and E flat. So if I just count up from B flat, what will be on my 4th degree of that scale? So B flat, C, D, E flat. So that's the note that I have to write in. So I'm going to write it above the B flat to E flat. Here they don't give us any accidentals or any key signatures, so we have to fill in sharps or flats if the note that we're about to write is indeed a sharp or a flat note. Like here, a perfect fourth above B flat is E flat, so I definitely have to go ahead and make sure that I have my flat in front of that E. Next question, we have an A, so we assume A major. A major has 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So now I have to understand what is a third above A. And of course it will be something to do with the space there. For now it looks like a C, but I just said there is a C sharp in A major. So I have to go and put in my sharp. So a major third above A is definitely a C sharp. Then we are looking at our next one. We are here in E flat major, and I have to write a 7th above E flat. Now if I think of the key of E flat, I have 3 flats, but it actually doesn't affect the 7th note, which, if we count, it is a D, and E flat major's 3 flats does not affect D, and we do have a D in E flat major, so we just leave it as that. It is a D natural, and we can move on to our next question. The next one is D, and then we have to think in D major. Let's write a minor 6 above D. So firstly we think 6 notes above D. That is a B, and we definitely have a B in D major, but they're asking us a minor 6. So we have to flatten this B, and it will be a B flat. Next, we move on to our final one, which asks a perfect fifth above F, and of course a fifth above F, our dominant C in F major, and no need to add any sharps or flats there. And remember, you need to be very precise here, adding the correct note. Each note will give you 2 marks. In both questions 2.2 and 2.3, we are working with triads. We are only working with primary triads in this grade, which means we are working with the tonic, the subdominant, or the dominant of the key that they give us. So 2.2 asks of us to figure the primary triads. And do be sure to take a look at the example they give us. They give us an example in D major, the dominant thereof, and also what they're doing here is just showing us how to figure it. So it's first key and then triad. So you write your key and then you write your triad. So that is what they expect us to do. We look at our key signature, we name it, and we look at our triad, we name it according to tonic, subdominant, or dominant. We haven't dealt with any other triads at this stage, so anything else, if it's not 1, 4, 5, it would be wrong, or it would have to be the relative key of which you thought it was in. So let's start. We are given 2 flats, so of course we can either be in B flat major or we can be in G minor. So if we are in B flat major, what degree of the scale would that be? B flat would be over here, 1 up is C, so that means it would be on the 2nd degree of the scale, and we have not yet explored that triad, so it cannot be that. So we are going to go to the relative minor key, and that is in G minor. And in G minor, is C either the tonic, subdominant, or dominant? The answer is yes, because it is the 4th degree, G, A, B flat, C. It is the 4th degree, so it is a primary triad. It is the subdominant triad in G minor. So I'm going to figure small g dot dot, because it is G minor, so small g, and also small Roman numeral 4, because it is the subdominant triad in G minor. Okay, we are moving on. We have a key with 3 flats, so it can either be E flat major or C minor. So let's always start with the major, shall we? So let's think. In E flat major, we have E flat, G, B flat. Is E flat on the tonic, subdominant, or dominant degree? Yes, it's actually just the tonic. E flat in E flat major is the tonic. So we are definitely in the key of E flat major, big E flat there, and capital Roman numeral tonic. So in the paper you'll be asked to write it below. I'm just writing it above for space sake. Next, we have a key with 3 sharps. Now already, because there is a sharp over here and an accidental there, whether it be a natural or a sharp, I can already know it is in the minor key, that it is actually a dominant chord in a minor key. That's just how it works. So of course we can either think in A major or F sharp minor here, but I'm just going to go ahead and already write F sharp minor, because this middle note being raised already sets it off that, hey, this is the leading note in a minor key, it is raised, it has to be minor. So let's think in F sharp minor, what is C sharp in F sharp minor? It is the 5th degree of the scale, which means we are on the dominant chord here. And dominant is always figured as a major chord, whether we are in a major key or a minor key. In question 2.3, we're asked the exact opposite of 2.2. So here we're asked to write the following primary triads with key signatures, and we're going to use semi-briefs. They do give us an example, so if you are a little bit confused, you can follow the example. But in this question, they give us the key, they give us the triad, and we need to write it. They figure it for us, and we need to physically write in the key signature and write in the triad. So first things first, we pay attention to our clef. We are in bass clef, and they ask us E flat major. So here we go. We should know our key signatures off by heart, and we're going to fill it in. Key signature of E flat major. And then we're just going to merely count up from E flat until we reach the subdominant or the 4th degree of the scale, and then we're going to fill in the triad. So we can count E flat, F, G, A flat. So we start our triad on A flat, and we are on a space note, so we will have 3 space notes. Merely we have 3 notes on top of each other. And then we are going to move on to D minor. We are in the treble clef. D minor's key signature is a B flat. Yes, it is related to F major. And now we have to think, what is the dominant chord in D minor? The dominant of D is A, so we start our triad on A. We have 3 notes up, and definitely in a minor key you have to raise your 7th, which is going to be the middle note of the triad. So we raise our 7th, and that is a C sharp. So you will get a mark for your key and you will get a mark for your triad. If you don't add your C sharp, you won't be getting your mark there. Then our last triad is in A major. In the treble clef we're going to fill in our key signature. And then of course the tonic of A is just A, and we're going to go up 3 notes there. A, C sharp, E, and you'll notice that the tonic triad in A major is also the dominant triad in D minor, A, C sharp, E. And definitely this chord in A major can be figured in various keys, and it will always then be a major chord. It is a major chord even in a minor key. Dominant is major, and it's a major chord here. Tonic is major in a major key. And in summary, always remember that in major keys, your tonic, subdominant, and dominant are figured as major triads, and in minor keys, your tonic and subdominant triads are figured as minor triads, and your dominant triad will still be figured as a major triad. Question 3 is all about scales, and again, key signatures and keys are definitely the foundations here. So if you know your keys and you know your key signatures, this should be a walk in the park. So of course we're asked in grade 2 up to and including 3 sharps and or 3 flats, and the very first question they ask of us is B harmonic minor ascending. Now we have to firstly put in our key signatures, because that is what the question asks of us. They say write the following scales with key signatures. So please pay attention to that, because if they ask without key signature, then you have to write your sharps or flats next to the notes that you are about to write. For now they ask us with key signatures, so we have an easy job of just writing in our key signature at the very beginning next to the clef, and then we can just go ahead and write in our notes. So B minor has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp, and then we can just go ahead and write our B, and we can write our 8 notes up. So we're going to find B, and we're going to write 8 notes up. Make sure that you touch every line and every space, and you need 8 notes of course to make a scale. Then we have to raise our 7th degree, which is on A in this case. Remember, in an harmonic minor scale we have to always raise the 7th, and here the 7th is A natural, so now we have to make it A sharp. Then we have to add in our semitones, and with UNISA papers we indicate it by the use of a slur. In harmonic minor keys our semitones lie between degrees 2, 3, 5, 6 as well as 7 and 8. So let's go ahead and fill in that now. Then we're going to go ahead to our next question. This one is in the treble clef, B flat major, ascending and descending. So we're going to put in our key for B flat major, and then we're going to go ahead and find a B flat, and we can definitely have that low B flat, or we can have the one in the middle of the stave, just depends where you want to put it. But all that's very important here is that we go up our 8 notes, we're ascending as well as descending, so we write 8 notes up, we go all the way to that B flat, we come back down, hitting our low B flat once more, and then we have to add our semitones between degrees 3, 4 and 7 and 8, because those are the semitones in a major key. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we of course count again from our lowest note up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there you go. In a key that's both ascending and descending, if you count your total amount of notes, it will be 15 for interest's sake. Then we're going to go ahead to our last scale question, and that is C harmonic minor in the treble clef. So this question asks of us to descend, so we're going to put in our flats for C minor. It is related to E flat major, and then we're going to start on a C and we're going to descend. We're going to descend 8 notes, go all the way down to a C, And in a harmonic minor scale, what do? We have to raise the 7th degree. Now the 7th degree is the 7th degree up. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have to raise this B flat to a B natural. And then we have to add in our semitones between 2, 3, 5, 6, as well as 7 and 8. So each of our scales counts 7 marks here. So if you write it correctly, you will be getting 21%. Question 4 in this paper is very much a comprehension question. So you get a musical extract and then you have to answer the questions that follow according to what you know about the extract. So you have to apply your knowledge in this question. First things first, they ask us, what does the time signature 4/4 mean? Now, of course, this is easy, but sometimes we don't know how to put it in words. 4/4 is merely the presentation of 4 crotchet beats in a bar. So we will write that down. Then 4.2 asks of us, what key are we in? And yet again, key signatures, keys, they're the foundation for us. So we see that we have 3 flats. So we can be in either one of 2 keys, E flat major or C minor. How will I know? Well, of course, C minor would have to have that raised 7th, so we would see a lot of B naturals if it was in C minor. And we also have to pay attention to how our extract starts and how it ends. So here I see that we do end this extract on an E flat. There are no B naturals showing up, so I would definitely say that this piece is in E flat major. Then they ask us, what is the relative key? And when we already said the either or, we said it could be E flat major, could be C minor. So of course the relative minor here is C minor. The fact that they also ask you what is the relative minor would tell you that the key of the piece is in a major. So 4.4 asks us to give the technical names of indicated notes. Now in grade 2 we know all the technical names of all the degrees of the scale, so we just have to go ahead and identify what our notes are in our specific key. So we have to identify what each note is in E flat major in this case. The very first note they ask of us is a B flat. And B flat in E flat major is of course the 5th degree, which is the dominant. Thereafter they ask of us an A flat, and of course that is the subdominant degree because it is the 4th degree of the scale. So you definitely just have to apply your knowledge here, and you can go ahead and fill in the rest of the questions. In question 5, we are asked to transpose. Be mindful of the instructions here. So they ask of us transpose the melody that is in the treble clef an octave lower into the F clef, which we know is the bass clef. And then we have to remember to add in our key signature. And of course we have to add in all the little stuff that they give us. Our slurs, our staccatos, our composer's name, the tempo indication, etc. So we have to transpose an octave lower, and the very thing that I said back in question 1 counts here. You have to orientate yourself at least around middle C so that you can know where you are and what to do. So for instance, this is our first note, F in the treble clef. Now if we think about it, that F in the bass clef would be up here. That would be the direct note, but they ask us to transpose an octave lower. So of course we're not going to use this F, but we're going to use the F that is an octave lower. Now if you know your starting note, then it is very easy to orientate yourself around where you need to be. Just always make sure that you're on the correct note. Okay, and then they do give us space in which to write the music. They give us our bass clef, but we have to fill in everything else. We have to fill in our key signature. Then we have to fill in our time signature. And if we happen to go over to the next line, if we don't manage to fit in everything on one line of music, and we go over to the next line, they give us a bass clef yet again, but we need to fill in the key signature yet again. So you need to put in your B flat and your E flat even in the second line if you do not finish in the first line. Then you don't have to add in your time signature again. That's not done in music, but key signature for definite. And then you have to remember that every small detail counts here. This question counts 10 marks, and you really have to work hard here for your 10 marks. You have to be very precise and very systematic here. So go ahead and fill in this question. Question 5.2, we are asked to give the meaning of terms. So here in grade 2, they will definitely ask you grade 2 terms. So remember to study hard. Yes, they only allocate you 1 mark per right answer, but do be sure to study your terms and signs here. So the first musical term they give us is largo, which definitely means broad and slow. Then we have delicato, which means delicately. We have con, which is one of those combining words. It means with. We have tempo primo, which means in the original tempo or the first tempo in which you played. Then grazioso means graceful, and da capo al segno means you have to repeat from the beginning up to where you see the sign of del segno. And remember to always play from original sheet music and make your mark on original music sources. Next question.